Back in March of 2022, before I ever started vlogging my adventures here on YouTube, I visited Lisbon, Portugal. Then, I had no idea that it would become one of my favorite cities in the world. What I did know is that I love documenting the 5 senses of cities around the world, so I still took a lot of notes. Well, I'm back today in Lisbon, Portugal with an overnight stopover. And I feel like, with some new video content and a little more context, it's the perfect time to bring Lisbon, Portugal to you.
I want to start off by saying that Lisbon may not be on your travel radar yet, but here's the thing, it should be. Lisbon is an incredible place, right? The vistas, the food, the architecture, the atmosphere, the weather, the people, the history, all of it's incredible. And it's amazing that it isn't more of a destination for travelers around the world. But it will be soon, I should probably add. Experiencing Lisbon isn't something that you do, right? It's something that you see, smell, feel, taste, and hear. In case you're not able to make it to Lisbon physically, my hope is that this video will capture the sensations of the seaside town in such a way that you'll be transported to the Lisbon experience in your imagination. So let's dive in. The first thing you'll notice about Lisbon as you emerge from the underground metro station is how lived in, weathered, and just authentically charming the city feels. The city is incredibly dense with tight, winding alleyways, endless hills, rustic old buildings. And Lisbon feels incredibly clean, but there's definitely the sense that it isn't just there for the convenience of tourists. This city is home to hundreds of thousands of people, and there's definitely no hiding that in the streets. You have clotheslines that cross from patio to patio, work trucks maneuvering through the hilly, cobbled streets, dogs wandering around without leashes, and dozens of small markets that kind of pepper in through the storefronts. The architecture in Lisbon is really unlike anything I've ever seen. So the hills, the streetcars, and the trams are a reminiscent of San Francisco, California. But the buildings themselves really are a far cry from San Francisco's Victorian row homes. The buildings here are cladded in unique ceramic tiles, which are uniform on each individual surface, but they vary drastically from building to building. For the structures not covered in this beautiful ceramic tile, you have bright pastels that cover the stone exteriors. Occasionally, a medieval castle or a cathedral breaks the pattern with damp, aging stone. From above, you notice that every building is covered in a red clay terracotta roofing. Now, Lisbon's tile facades are no accident. They've really become a staple in the city's identity. In fact, virtually every single shop you go through is going to sell ceramic tiles with the patterns that mimic those on the homes and just the general facades throughout the city. Even the streets themselves are distinct in Lisbon. Sidewalks and really even some of the roads aren't paved in asphalt or concrete. They're cobbled with small stones in the form of beige and black mosaics, and that's what's different than other cobbled streets in Europe. And an interesting note on this is that the designs of the sidewalks and the plazas must be selected from a catalog that was created in the 1800s, and it's applicable to any new construction as well. Something that really struck me while wandering around the city streets is that Lisbon really has a brand unifying color, and it's golden yellow. Lisbon's trams, streetcars, houses, and buses are splashed with it, sure. But so are the large palaces and facades that line the city's famous squares. While there's a certain uniformity to the central core of Lisbon, there are a couple parts of town that are a bit different and present a bit of a different ambience. Belém, for starters, is Lisbon's historic seaside neighborhood that features Monasterio de los Jerónimos de Belém, which is the Jerónimos Monastery, Belém Tower, and the Portuguese president's house. Now, the ancient buildings in this part of the city, which sits directly on the water, look really sea-logged. It's the best word I can think of to describe it. The architecture, despite its clearly weathered appearance, is delicate, ornate, and it's incredibly detailed. I mean, it must have taken decades upon decades for the stone artists to really create the masterpieces that adorn these buildings. It's phenomenal. You know, Lisbon's landscape really adds to that unique ambiance of the city. There are very few flat points in the town, so there are hidden staircases kind of at every nook and cranny, tram tracks running up and down the hills, and winding paths that cut through the tightly packed buildings. And then, of course, there's the bay, which surrounds the city on three sides. No matter where you are in Lisbon, you get that nautical feeling that you're just on the other side of the building from the sea, and in a lot of cases, you are. So Lisbon's scent is really, really distinctive. If you've watched my vlog enough, you know that each place around the planet has its own distinctive scentscape that really places you into that place experientially. But you capture the smell of Lisbon from the moment you exit the airport, and it's a smell that's dominated by saltwater. Lisbon sits on the edge of the Atlantic Ocean and is surrounded by saltwater from the sea and then freshwater coming from the Tagus River, so it's a bit brackish. But then you get deeper into the city and the scents begin to diversify. They remain just as distinct and notable, however. There's an abundance of orange trees, countless street-side cafes, damp stone edifices, dense alleyways of cars, motorbikes, and pedestrians, and then you add in a frequent sea breeze. It creates an aromatic atmosphere that's really hard to miss. A Lisbon-scented candle would smell of citrus, saltwater, stone, ozone, and musk. I actually have a video on the scents of Lisbon if you want to go check that out. For a large city and a national capital, Lisbon is incredibly quiet, at least in the older portions of the city, where cars don't have as much room to roam. In the town squares, you can hear street musicians often playing guitars and violins from almost every direction. Behind this soft layer of music is the sounds of birds chirping. Depending on how close to San Jorge's castle you are, these birds will likely include the distinctive cry of peacocks. In the plazas, closer to the ocean, the air is filled with the sounds of rippling water and softly crashing waves, boat horns from the bay, and the bustle of pedestrians and just boisterous conversation. On the hour, you'll hear heavy chimes from the clock towers throughout the city. Now, in the broader commercial district of the city, which stretches up this really long, tree-lined boulevard facing inland, you'll get more of that traditional city soundscape of cars, honking, motorbikes, and just general traffic. Another sound that pretty much constantly permeates the soundscape of Lisbon is the sound of train cars screeching and bells ringing. The city has a huge network of streetcars and trams, and while they're cool to ride and watch and are incredibly practical, take some hints, United States, please, they aren't quiet. Portugal experiences a Mediterranean climate, and as such, the weather stays relatively crisp. Lisbon in March reminded me a lot of San Francisco in February. Warm, breezy days marked with chilly, breezy nights. The air can feel a bit damp depending on where you are and how much sunlight you're exposed to at any moment. When it rains, it's especially damp and chilly, as you might expect.
While not quite world famous yet, Portuguese food, which is very much inspired by the sea, is absolutely delicious no matter what way you slice it. The tastes of Lisbon can be best captured by these Portuguese staples. Pastel de nata. These little guys are Portugal's signature pastry, and when you taste it, you understand why. It's sweet, it's rich, it's creamy, flaky, and somehow even a little savory. And that's probably due to the fact that it's an egg custard tart. Throw a little cinnamon on there, and you're in heaven. Bacalhau à Brás. Here's another Portuguese staple that I ate at least 5 times while in Lisbon. Bacalhau à Brás is shredded cod, onions, and shredded potatoes cooked together and held together by scrambled egg. If you can imagine a hash brown bowl with cod and a glass of sangria on the side, you can imagine bacalhau à brás. And it's amazing. Sweet sangria. Speaking of a glass of sangria on the side, sangria is an absolute must in Lisbon. It's fresh, with local wine and fruits mixed into goblets and pitchers. It's almost sickly sweet in a good way.
I had no clue when landing in Lisbon that I'd eat so much octopus. But something you should know about Portugal is that they really embrace seafood and they do it really, really well. The octopus I had here was thick and juicy and exactly what you'd hope for.
Bola de Berlim with cream. Another standout dessert dish is called bola de Berlim. This is commonly known as the Portuguese donut and is everywhere to be found in Lisbon's bakeries and cafes. Coated in powdered sugar, slightly glazed and crunchy, and filled with a thick cream, these are pretty irresistible. Fish croquettes.
I can't talk about the highlights of the Portuguese cuisine without talking about the Iberian genre of tapas, and specifically the fish croquettes. These were crunchy and fried on the outside like thick mozzarella balls or hush puppies, and filled with creamy, thick fish and cheese that had me coming back for more and more. Experiencing Lisbon was unlike any city I've experienced before. The architecture, the landscapes, the Portuguese language, the smell of salt water and citrus, the tastes of bacalhau brás and pastel de nata, the historic sites, and just so much more. They all come together to create a city and country experience that can't be replicated anywhere else. I hope that through this video, you've been able to capture some of that sensation, and that one day, perhaps, you'll make it to Lisbon, Portugal, to explore it firsthand. As always, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.